The mindset shift that I'm about to share is going to be so controversial that some of you probably will click off the video as soon as I say it. And because of that attitude, it actually might be the reason why your 2025 personal finances will look the exact same as your 2024, 2023, 2022. This video is made to help you, okay? But more on the controversial thing in a second. For a really long time, I hated to save money. Now, I like the idea of saving money, but when looking back, I have to think that I hated saving money because I never did it. I always thought of the now. I always when I was in my 20s, I would fill up my calendar, events on the weekends, things with friends, family. And what happens when you do all these events is you end up buying stuff, you end up paying for stuff. You're thinking of the moment. I was not thinking about decades, I was thinking about days, okay? But this one mindset shift, the controversial one, allowed me to go from not caring about my finances, not having any goal, just sort of existing in life, to building up recently a $1 million net worth. And that happened in just about a decade, guys. This one mindset shift. And that mindset shift, that mindset shift was saving money is a choice. It's a choice that you have. It's a choice that I have. It's a choice that we all have. And I'm going to prove it in this video. Okay. So hang with me. I'm going to just share my screen really quickly. I need to show you some stuff. Oops. The personal savings rate in the United States, a percentage. So it's basically looking at of people's disposable incomes. What is the percentage of money that people are saving? Okay. And this chart goes from 2020. So you see here, January 2020. There we go, all the way through this is November, 2024. Okay, so it's basically 25 years of data that has been collected, and let's go through it. Okay, so early 2000s, I think we can all, it's fair that we can say this line, so this line here is 5%. I think it's fair to say for the most part it was 5%. Yes, it dipped here. Yes, it went up a little here. Yes, it went back to 5%, 5%, 5%. And then there was this event that happened in 2020. When the whole world shut down, that whole thing. I don't know if you guys remember that. But look at what happened here. This spike is because of that, right? So April 2020, and I think all around the world, really like March and April were like the first 2 months. Okay, so I'm in the United States. Really, halfway through March was the time that it started, and then April obviously was a full month of being in lockdown. And look what happened, guys. So we were hovering around the 5%. And in April of 2020, it shot up to 32%. That's what this peak is here, 32%. So how does that happen? How does a spike happen like that? Well, you guys all know because you were there. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. All of our plans, all of our events were canceled. The only thing we could buy were like groceries, gas, and then stuff online, right? So, how I'm reading this is that we had less opportunities to buy things. Okay. We were stuck at home. And so some people were, getting more income throughout this process. Obviously, not everyone, right? There were a lot of bad things that happened. People lost their houses, their lives, etc. But a lot of people, 32% of people, no, a lot of people saved money, and not 32% of people, but 32% of their disposable income. So think about that. For every $10 that someone made in April 2020, they saved three of them. Huh. So that to me just kind of seems like saving is a choice. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments or in the live stream now. What do you guys think about that? Why would it just suddenly go up? It's been 5%, 5%, 5%, goes up to 32. It's pretty simple. Now, I want to overlay this with kind of another chart. This chart is called the personal consumption expenditures. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying how much stuff we bought. Okay. And this is this says, billions of dollars. It's like 10,000 billion. So that's trillions, right? It's kind of confusing, but let's just call these trillions of dollars. So in 2020, we're looking at, 2000, we're looking at $6 trillion. Okay. And then it steadily climbs, steadily climbs, steadily climbs. And then what happened? There's this big valley. Guess when? In April of 2020. Wow. Look at that. So basically, when you buy less stuff, you're able to save more money. That's pretty crazy, right? Because look at this, like, yes, we can call this this is inflation, this is like things are getting more expensive, cost of living, but it's also there's more things to buy. It's way easier to buy. It's more convenient to buy. We get things in like 12 minutes now. Just like there, yeah, all these trucks delivering all this stuff. The logistics is crazy, but it's because we need our stuff, right? So everything's easier for the consumer, which is great. Like that's what the world is has become now, and it's not going to stop. But the correlation between spending money and saving has never been more clear. So a big dip in spending in April 2020 and a big spike in savings in April 2020. The two have to be correlated. Now, I need to show you this. This is from a um hold on, let me make this a little I am in the way. Sorry about that. So anyway, these are the two charts like sort of right next to each other so you can see them together, right? And again, we talked about this. This is going up. This is basically saying in a straight line. So the question I have for all of you guys is how come we keep making it easier and easier and easier to buy more things, to have more options, to make it easier for stuff to come, but we're not making it easier to save money? How come? To me, it just seems like it's a choice, right? Because you could even look at after all, like some of the lockdown periods, like the saving just like plummets down, and even went to below 5% for a little bit here because people are like, you know what, everything's lifted. I'm going on vacation, right? Whatever the thing is. But we keep making it easier and easier to buy things, but we're not making it easier and easier for ourselves to save money. Or for the purposes of this video, I'm going to call it put money towards a financial goal. Because every time you put $1 towards a financial goal, and I'm going to stop sharing. Every time you put a dollar or more than $1 towards a financial goal, you're pulling your future forward. Okay. Every single time. Now, when you start doing it, when you just start sort of trying to reach financial goals, it's going to feel like floss for your teeth. It's going to be so thin, it's going to feel so irrelevant. You're like, "Why am I doing this?" But in my situation, like a decade later, over a decade later, I've got this big tug of war rope, and it's like, "Wow, this is like really cumbersome and inconvenient and so big." And it's just like the momentum just happens. So that's I needed to show you that first, guys, because I peruse on the internet. Okay, I see everyone in their post, and they're talking about how they're not able to reach their financial goals, and they're blaming this, that, and the other thing. I'm here to tell you that saving money is a choice. Now, it might not be a viable option right now. Like if you're in bare bones with your money, like you very well could be in a situation where you're not able to save. But there's still an opportunity to try to change that. Like you're not stuck. You can there, there's three ways to really have more money. Okay. One is to increase your income. Two is to reduce your expenses. See, even the stream is agreeing with me. And the third is to do both, right? So increase income, reduce expenses, or do both at the same time. Now, everyone's trying to obsess about reducing their expenses, and that's great and all. I am all for that. My wife and I always evaluate our spending and make sure that it's aligned with our current financial goals. But you're kind of capped at how much money you can like shave off your spending. Like you can only shave off so much unless you're going to live in a cardboard box. You can only shave off so much. So you get way more leverage if you increase your income. And I know this is going to be a challenging thought for people, to be quite honest, because again, on the interwebs, a lot of people it just seems so clear that they are pigeonholing themselves in their life that they have with this, you know, low income situation, not able to do anything with the goals, a ton of debt, right? And so I challenge you to try and step out of your comfort zone and do something about it. So um a quick backstory on like what propelled my journey. I told you in the beginning of this video that I didn't start my financial like I didn't start my 20s, my mid 20s like in a good spot financially. I was just like all about the day to day, the week to week, like, oh, we got that vacation to look for in the summer. Oh, I have plans next weekend with these friends. I was not thinking about decades, I was thinking about days. And the thing that flipped it for me, it's a stupid story, but to make a long story short, I didn't have enough money for a down payment of a car. Okay, really embarrassing. So the day before I was supposed to hand them a check, um, I didn't have enough money in my bank account. I was $1,500 short. Okay, now my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, she loaned me that money. And I was able to give them a check, but I was like, do not cash it until a couple days from now because I it won't clear. So just do yourself a favor, wait a couple days. They didn't like me for that, but they let me drive it off. Anyway, as I was driving the car off the lot, I was just like beating myself up. Uh, you know, I was this person who went to school for accounting. I was telling everyone, I was telling myself that, hey, I'm doing this accounting thing. Hey, I'm good at numbers, finances, money. And the actions that I was taking did not resemble that whatsoever. Whatsoever. So I was like, it ends today. And that's when I started my transformation. And in fact, my career at that time, I wasn't even doing accounting. So I got a degree in accounting. The first couple years out of college, I was doing like skill adjacent jobs. So think like an analyst or compensation, whatever. And I over I was like, I have to make this accounting thing work, and I have to get a little uncomfortable with the next process. So I overcompensated for my laziness in my early 20s, and I was like, you know what? I have to look at jobs only in the nearest like city. So it was a 2-hour door-to-door commute, and I was like, I can only look here because I've been a complete F up the last few years, and I have to really overcompensate and do something about this. And so I did that and I got a job. I worked in the city for 3 years and it was like the commute burnt me out big time. But what it taught me was like I am capable of so much more than what I thought. I was way too comfortable in my role, okay, in my job. I just basically went to work, didn't get stressed, I went home. And that's not the way to grow, at least not for me. So if you're listening to this, I implore you to challenge yourself to step outside your comfort zone. And if you make 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and you're not happy with the amount of money that you make, you can change it. You're in charge. Okay. And once you give yourself permission to be in charge, everything changes. I used to believe wholeheartedly, guys, that um, I was worth as much money as someone else is willing to pay me. I believe that I used to believe that so strongly. I was like, "Oh, this makes so much sense," right? Because you're set up, at least I was, go through high school, do the college thing, and then you go into like the job market and you're like, "Oh yeah, I have a job. I go to work." Okay. And when I get to my place of work, I need to impress someone, likely your manager. And if they like me enough, they're just going to keep giving me more money. Okay. That's obviously the basics of it. I used to believe that so much, but now I believe this. I believe that you're worth as much as you think you're worth. What does that do? It puts control and power back in my hands where it should be. And if you have this thought, it goes back into your hands as well. Because why would you push that control of your life and the income that you make on someone else? Like, why would you put that control in your life? So over the last 10 years, I've actually worked in 4 different companies because I didn't want to settle. I wasn't going to accept the 2-3% merit increase, the attaboy. They give you just enough so that you'd want to stay. So it's like a little inconvenient, a little tough to leave. They keep giving you just enough. Okay. So I challenge you to do that because at the end of the day, like I said, we need to either increase our income, reduce our spending, or do both. And I'm seeing a lot of people that seem pretty stretched thin with number two, which is reducing your expenses. You can only reduce so much. So, what's the next best thing? You have to increase your income. Okay. So, I challenge you to increase your income so that you can put more than 5% of your income to savings or a financial goal. Like, what if I'm going to go back to the chart just because it's so like powerful to look at. Sorry. Here we go. How can you create a situation not as intense as this maybe, but like some desperation in your head? Like imagine if you just thought like if you go back to April 2020, you're sitting in your house, you can't do anything. Um how do you create that urgency to put money towards financial goals like this? Right? Because let's be honest, yes, all of our like, we couldn't go out to eat, we couldn't do social things, paid social things with friends anymore, family. But there was still plenty of options to buy things online, right? We could have spent all of our weekend money online or doing renovations for your house or tuning up your car, whatever. There were still options to spend money. You just had less of them, right? And this chart again shows it that we just spent less money. Okay. The vacations, like that's probably what happened. People had vacation plans. They just like, nope, I'll just put this $1,000 in savings or towards a financial goal. So how do we create the urgency, guys? And I'm not saying 32%, that's very intense. How do we go from if you're at 0%, how do you go from 0 to 5? If you're at 5%, how do you go from 5 to 10? If you're at 10%, how do you go from 10 to 15, right? You get it. Like how do we keep increasing, you know, our urgency to make this happen? Again, every dollar we put towards a financial goal, we pull our future closer, okay? And I know people usually hate charts and graphs, so I apologize, but it's really important. We have to see that. Okay. Um, I think a big problem that we have is that society is driven by quick reward cycles. What do I mean by that? I think that most people, like me in my early 20s, just want the quick hitting, actionable things that we can do in our life to make ourselves feel good in the moment. Okay. We're not willing to plan ahead, to look again, think in decades, not days. If you look back 10 years from where you are now to where you were 10 years ago, and if your life is basically the same, then you haven't grown enough and you have to do that. And that part of that is challenging yourself in whatever career you're in, right? To increase your income. And this isn't for everyone, obviously. Like if you're happy with your situation, then by all means stay happy with your situation. This is not me telling everyone to try and do this. Okay. But this is for people that are serious about, moving their life forward. This is for people who are about who are stuck with their finances, right? Like I said in the beginning of this video, you don't want 2025 to look like 2024, 2023, 2022. We want 2025 to look better than 2024. And then we want 2026 to be a lot better than 2024. Like we want to keep increasing our value. Okay. And I have a story around like the quick reward cycle. So I was talking to this person about his personal finances. I was looking through his budget, and on his budget, he said there was a line item that said retail therapy. Now, I don't shop a lot, to be quite honest with you. And I was like, oh, hey, what's this? And he's like, oh, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he's basically like, yeah, when I get sad or depressed, I basically buy myself something or multiple things. And I was like, wow, okay. So a lot to unpack there. But basically, uh, it was just this mindset of like every time I had an emotion, I bought something. So I was like, okay, what things what things were they? And we were just looking at his last month, and he's like, I don't even know. Like I just buy it, and I don't. So he didn't even know a month later the thing that he was buying. And this category was like a huge expense for him. It was like hundreds of dollars a month, and he didn't really see it, unfortunately, and he's not going to see it, which is sad. But that's the thing that's holding him back, and it's way deeper than spending. Obviously, there's some there's some like emotional thing, but I just wanted to like he was in like the quick hitting, like I need to feel good now, I need to buy this thing now, and I think a lot of society is like that. Maybe not to this extreme, but is like that. So here's a couple quick hitting tips for you to kind of maybe create more friction in the buying process. Okay. Like we looked at that other chart, the consumption, it's just going to keep going up. So companies are just going to make it easier and easier and easier for people, right? Think about Amazon. Like everyone's trying to like mimic what Amazon's doing. Everyone's a little bit behind, but like everyone's trying to mimic what they're doing because obviously from their customer perspective, they're trying to make it as easy as possible. So you click, and then you just like walk outside. You hold your hands out, and then your item falls on your hands. Right. That's pretty much how quick it happens. So there's a few things that I've found helpful that I've done in the past myself. So first, you could just go on a strict cash budget. Okay. This only works. This obviously doesn't work for everything. So if you have a mortgage, like you're not, walking to, I don't know, Quicken Loans to hand them your mortgage. Okay. But everything else, like the things that you buy regularly, if you go to the ATM, you take cash out, you can only spend that amount of cash that week, right? So you would plan out your groceries, your gas, just things that you actually need, and then plan off that. Like it's hard to give Amazon cash these days. I don't know if they take cash, so like that could be a helpful way to like it reduces your online spending. Okay, just a helpful thing there. The second thing that I've done actually is you remove cards, you remove your debit card or your credit card from the website, and it just creates a lot of friction. So, like, you could be at your computer, you get this email for a pair of shoes, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Let me click. You click, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I think I'm going to add it to the cart. You go to the cart, you want to buy it, and then it's like, oh, you have to go get the card. So it's in the other room. You're like, you know what? Nope, screw it. I don't need those things. And I've done that before, actually. I generally have you just take it off and it adds friction. Does it work all the time? No, it's not perfect. You still end up going to get the card sometimes, but it's more helpful than just like, hey, yep, shoes, add one, yes, deliver, right? Like it's way too easy now. Um, Another thing that you can do, and I've actually done this with food delivery, is you can just remove the app from your phone. It's a crazy concept these days. Everyone's got 3,000 million apps. And yes, that is a fact, 3,000 million apps. But it is true. Like, so my wife and I, we used to have like every Friday we would do like a Uber Eats or DoorDash, whatever, whichever one. Um, and we're in a situation in our life, a point in our life where we're just trying to be really, really intentional with our money. We have two kids at home. They both go to daycare. Daycare is a little expensive. Um, so we're always constantly thinking about our spending. So we're like, you know what? We're just gonna cut this food delivery for a bit. Could we afford it? Yeah, but we're trying to put money again towards the financial goals. And childcare, $2,400 a month is making that a little more challenging, right? So that's just something that we've done recently, actually, and it's been helpful. Like our grocery bill goes up slightly because now we need to make another dinner on the Fridays, but it's not really a big deal, and we end up saving a little bit of money. So it's just something to think about. Sorry, I'm just gonna get a little water. I don't often speak by myself for 25 minutes. Okay, so I'd love to get your feedback on that whole really the whole video. And the video is not over, by the way. I just wanted to sum up that section where saving's a choice, guys. Your life's a choice. The amount of income you make is a choice. You could just it's a choice. Like people get increases in their income all the time. They hop jobs. They learn a skill that would improve their situation in their current job. Like if you can find a way to make your company more money, save them money. If you can lead up a project, if you can have more supervisory role, they that pays more. Like you just have to think about in your company, what can you do to provide more value? And you go to your boss and you're like, hey, um, so like, yeah, like what's going on with my trajectory in this company? And you come to them with a plan. Like I have this plan that I'm gonna make the company money. I'm gonna lead this new project. And I would just like to know that like if I do X, Y, and Z, the company will have a spot for me to move up if everyone likes like what I'm doing, right? Because a lot of times you have to do the work of the next job before you get the next job. It's just kind of how it works. You have to kind of prove your worth. So if they come back to you and they're like, no thanks, then you know that there's no growth opportunity at this company, and then you start looking for companies that do have growth, and then you go on interviews. And remember that when you go on interviews, you're not just trying to get their job. They're trying to bring in good talent. So don't just sit there and be all nervous that it's an interview. Um, you have to. It's your life too. Like you have to make sure that it works for you. Okay. So let me know down in the comments how you think about saving as a choice. What are your thoughts about that? Hopefully, something that you saw in this video so far is changing a mindset that you have. I want to talk about. I'm going to share my screen. I did a free course for you guys. It's basically people that are starting in their personal finances or don't know where to start. And it's a way to just get a foundation for your finances, to change your mindset, similar to this video today. We're like, yeah, saving, you can save your money. And basically, what we do in this is we try to look at your finances, figure out where you're being, where you're staying true to yourself, where you're not. Okay. We're going to align our spending to our goals. So basically, if you're struggling with your finances and with your life, it probably means that you're not aligning your spending to your goal. So I help you out in this course. And the whole premise of this course is actually to find more money in your current finances without getting a second job or a side hustle or, selling, having a garage sale to make more money, um, to pay down your debt faster. Okay. Because paying down having debt is the least efficient thing to do in your personal finances. Yes, everyone most everyone has debt these days, right? There's mortgages, there's car payments, there's student loans, there's entire industries and companies that are massive behemoths based, off the backs of our interest payments, right? It's the least efficient way to build wealth if you have debt, okay? And the most efficient way to build wealth is to have a positive compounding effect, right? When you're paying down debt, you have a negative compounding effect. So, free course down in the description of this video, by the way, school.com/debt. And I just wanted to talk to you really quickly about the things that you would get. So, if you join right now, um, basically until my calendar fills up, guys, I'm just trying to have free calls with people to sort out their personal finances. I'll get you on that journey. Okay. So it's a free strategy call with me. Okay. Not like someone on a team, not someone that was trained. Like you get it with me. And for context, so I've been an accountant for 10 years now. I paid down my own debt, $43,000 worth in 13 months using every single strategy that's in here. Like this is everything that I know, guys, that's in here. Okay. There's free tracking tools. Sorry, I clicked on this. Hold on. Personalized plan. Like I said, we're going to have specific calls. Right now, I'm making this video for, the masses, and I'm trying to speak individually, but through a video that would go to a lot of people. In here, it's you. Like it's your plan. It's not a general plan. It's your numbers, your plan, your strategy, and I'm going to help you with that. Proven method to find more money in your finances to eventually pay down your debt faster. And I have to talk about this because recently, and I'm going to stop sharing here. So school.com/debt, it is in the description. So within the last 24 hours, and this is not like a joke or anything like that, my Instagram has been disabled. My TikTok has been suspended. I can no longer uh, send a message or comment on someone's video for a month. Okay. And that's because of the messaging that I use for my content. It is what it is. But the truth is, so basically the message of like paying down your debt fast, paying down your debt twice as fast. And the math is there, but these platforms don't like it. After digging into the community guidelines, because who reads through all of those, honestly? There is a thing in there where they kind of will say like you can't talk about improving like a time length of debt or something along those lines. That's not the right words, but you know what I mean? Like I'm saying, hey, I can help you pay down your debt twice as fast. And the platforms are saying, no, no, you cannot say that. So for some reason, the platforms don't want people to get out of debt twice as fast. And maybe that sounds like fraud or a scam, but I actually, because this is top of mind, I was going to end the video with that other section, but I have to kind of just dive into this, guys. Okay. So this is my debt payment calculator. It is in the description of this video. It's completely for you to use. It's also, you can find it in Dollar Discipline University, my free course. Okay. I need to show you, I need to prove to you that you can pay down your debt twice as fast. Okay. And it doesn't take a lot of money to be able to do that. Here's the debt payment calculator. I just entered in some random debt information. So here we're going to enter our creditor type. So I just entered credit card 1, student loan, car loan, and then credit cards 2 through 4. Okay. I have the current balances. These are made up. I have the interest rates. Okay. And the minimum payment to apply to both. Great. So our current balance in debt is $59,000. Our minimum payments in total is $660. Okay. That's a lot of money. We go down here. And this section is where we're going to enter how much money we're paying towards our debt right now. So for the purposes of this video, let's just assume that you are making minimum payments every month. So the $660. Okay, so then we go down here and you guys can still see that well. This is the calculator portion. So up here is the data entry portion. Here is the, well, how much am I paying? And then we have strategies. I'll get into those in a second. And here we have our calculator. So we have our creditor types again. We have our original balances, but now it's calculating how much interest we're going to be paying for each of the line items, how many months it's going to take to pay off, and then what month and year is associated with the amount of months. Okay. The two strategies are the first, debt avalanche method. The debt avalanche method is where you pay off your debts in order of highest interest rates to lowest interest rates. Okay. And basically the calculator is doing this for you. So you'll see here the order that we entered these: credit card, student loan, car loan. But the avalanche method, again, is ranking them by the highest interest rate. So as you can see, it's the four credit cards in a row, right? Because we have a 20%, then an 18, a 16, a 14. So that's what the calculator is prioritizing first. And the benefit to the avalanche method is, since we're attacking the highest interest rates first, it's going to be the most cost beneficial to you, right? Because the reason why people are in debt for so long is because of the interest. And we'll get into that in a second. The other strategy is the snowball method. Okay. As you can see here, I'm just going to click back and forth. The information down here changes because the calculator is assuming a different set of like rules. Okay. Sorry. So with the snowball method, you're going to be prioritizing your debts in order of smallest loan amount first to largest loan amount. So as you can see, the order slightly changed here now because we have the car loan is the smallest amount. So this is more beneficial for someone who maybe this is probably the best one for someone who's never really paid down their debt before and they're just starting, because you're likely going to get that psychological boost. You're going to be paying down the debt faster. You're going to be paying off your first loan faster because it is the smallest balance. So you get those like quick wins. It's the psychological boost. Sorry, got a little tickle. So those are the two strategies. I'm going to flip back to the avalanche method here to go through this example. So as you can see here, so these numbers, again, completely made up. We have $59,000 in debt. But so you could probably sit there and be like, yeah, okay, I have $59,000 in debt, right? But what you actually have is 59,000 plus 89,000 of interest. So what is that? That's almost $150,000, we'll call it, in debt. You don't have $59,000 in debt. You're not factoring in the interest, right? And then here, this handy dandy debt-free date, which this section is my favorite part of the calculator. And we're going to play around with the numbers to have them change. And you're going to see in a second why it's so powerful. But the debt-free date is 2043. I'm recording this in January 2025. So it's about 18 plus years. Okay. Not great. That's a long time. 18 years. So remember, we're just paying our minimum payments. What would happen? What would happen if we added $100? So instead of $660 a month, we want to do $760 a month. So as I do this, I'm going to scroll down so you can see it. Here's the power of it. I'm going to add an extra $100. Look at the total interest paid and the debt-free date, right? We have 89,000 in October 2043, and now we have 45,000 of interest that we'd be paying. So that essentially cut in half. And then the debt-free date, I already forgot the date because it was so crazy. So it's like 7 years of being in debt. We saved 7 years just by adding an extra $100, guys. That's not bad. So this is what I'm talking about. Like, it doesn't take a lot of money extra a month of what you are paying to be able to pay it down twice as fast. So unfortunately, I won't be able to upload, I won't be able to clip this video into, Instagram, TikTok, because they're just going to ban me again. So I need to shout this from the rooftops because everyone needs to know it does not take a lot of extra money to pay down your debt twice as fast. And no, it's not a scam, guys. It's not a scam. You just saw it before your eyes, right? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so 89,000. So you save $45,000 of interest over the life of the loan. You're debt free 7 years earlier, and you just probably have a lot more. You have a lot less stress. And the whole point of paying off debt isn't to be debt free. To be quite honest with you, the whole point of paying off debt is to get out of negative wealth, because that's what you do when you're in debt. You have negative wealth. So we need to get out of debt so we can start thinking about the more efficient ways to build our wealth. Right now, we can keep kind of going up the ladder here. You can add an extra $100 again, right? And boom, it just keeps like getting better and better, better. But this works the complete opposite. Okay, so let's go back to the minimum payment. And by complete opposite, I mean it works the other way too. So if you're, say you're supposed to be making $660 minimum payments and you're only making 560, that's bad too. It increased both of those. It increased the years by about two, I think, and then the interest by about $4,000 or $5,000. Okay, so the impact is one. You got to make your minimum payments. You have to, because what this calculator does not include are fees and other things that you agreed on when you ventured into these loans. Okay, so it doesn't really calculate that. It's just the interest. So we have to start with minimum payments. You have to find a way to get there. Yes, it could start with reducing expenses, but more than likely, guys, if you're strapped, you have to find a way to increase your income. You have to, because we have to get to this. At least we have to get to our minimum payments, because you're never going to get out of debt if you never make the quote minimum payments. If you're just if you're making like $400 payments towards your debt and you're willy-nilly about it, like, it's just going to take way longer, guys. Like, who wants to be in debt for 25 years? I know people think that's just like part of life, but it's just like, it's ridiculous. And take this from someone who used to think like that, and now I think the complete opposite. Okay, so paying down debt twice as fast. It doesn't take as much money as you think. Now, I'm not going to go through it in this video, but in Dollar Discipline University, we talk about obviously this strategy in much deeper detail. There are some specific trainings that I talk about in here, but we also go through the strategy of what you need to do with your finances, with your monthly spending, to be able to find that extra money. Again, we're finding it in your finances, that extra $100, that extra $150, whatever. We're finding it, and that's how you guys stop sharing for a second. It's the whole process. Okay, so if you're interested in that, school.com/debt, it's down in the description of this video. Paying off your debt is not a scam. So Instagram and TikTok, if you're listening to this, I would love to train, your staff or whoever set up those community guidelines, because I don't think they're educated. And yeah, guys, this is pretty fresh, so I am a little frustrated. But yeah, so Instagram, TikTok, hit me up. I can help your company pay down your debt faster. And guys, I'm going live every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I'm gonna stick to the schedule as long as possible. Let me know down below, or if you go into the community, I'd love to hear from you. Like, what topics are you struggling with the most? What kind of information would help you the most? Because right now I'm making these videos based on what I think you guys need or want. But I'd love to hear back from you and see what you actually need or want. Okay. Um, so that's it for this one. I'll see you next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, school.com/debt, down in the description of this video. If not, if you just want to try out my tracking tools first, those are also down in the description of this video. Try those out first. There's tutorials in each of those files. So I have a budget template, debt payment calculator, an emergency fund calculator, and a net worth tracker. So all of those have tutorials. So check those out first. And I will see you next week, guys. Have a good one.